Welcome into The Breakdown. It's a holiday edition of The Breakdown. Phil Perry here, Ted Johnson. Ted, Patriots fans looking for a little bit of an early Christmas gift on Christmas Eve. Instead, Cole.
Oh, they're absolutely disappointed in that game. Let's face it. I mean, the Patriots didn't even come out ready to play, Phil, and they made it close at the end. But at the end of the day, what they were, their inability to really do much offensively and the holes they had on defense in that first half really put them in a hole that they couldn't come out of.
And that first half was a mess. It looked like the Patriots might have gotten into the eggnog a little early in that first half on Saturday. At halftime, their offense had more punts than first downs and just 70 total yards. Being 0 for 4 on third down, of course, didn't help. Bill Belichick was asked earlier today about the Patriots' very first third down attempt of the game.
It seemed like multiple players were further down the field, maybe with Rhamondre, the only one sort of near the sticks. I'm just curious how you viewed that play.
Yeah, we had a couple mistakes on the play. It's not the way we were trying to run it.
It's time now for Board Games, brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when the drains don't flow. Ted, let's take a look at the very first Patriots third down of their Christmas Eve contest here. This was a mess. First third down of the game, Ted. You should be really focused on this. Should be one of your best plays, and instead you have two very expensive tight ends smashing into each other, one of them getting hurt.
Yeah, you're right, Phil. So we got this play called no options right here. So basically, Mac Jones didn't have a lot of options here on this play. Third down and 4, okay? They got to get 4 yards. But the play design, two problems with this play. Not only the play call, I would say, it was an issue, but also the route running, and we'll show you. But they needed 4 yards. But the play call was to have plays in which the routes were deeper, all right? I mean, you have a trips right over here to this side. You have basically Jonnu Smith supposed to be running a clear out. He doesn't do it exactly like he's supposed to, and you'll see what happens here. You have Jacoby Myers doing kind of like a wheel route. Here's the DB. These guys are playing man-to-man. This DB has Jacoby Myers right here. He's at so much depth that he's able to match to this really easy. If the DB was up here, then maybe that crossing route gets confusion, and then maybe you get a guy open. I think maybe that's what they were trying to think. But this DB is aligned so deep that these guys, at the snap of the ball, they run their scissors route, and both of these DBs cover it perfectly. So that's not an option. Here's the thing. You have on this side Jonnu Smith, who's supposed to run what we think is a clear out route. He's supposed to go in like almost straight down the middle of the field. And instead, at the snap of the ball, he comes up and does an in cut. The only problem by throwing an in cut is on the backside, you have Hunter Henry running an in cut. Jonnu Smith is supposed to be running this angle to take the safety up so that there's space here for Hunter Henry to work. He doesn't do that. He cuts it off. So that brings the safety down. And what happens here? You have Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry hitting right here and Hunter Henry getting hurt. So it's a mess. The point is, it's covered over here. These guys are running into each other here. It's 5 rushers for 5 blockers, so it gets leaky on the offensive line, Phil. The quarterback's got to scramble right here because he has nowhere to go with the football. You need 4 yards. They're running routes that are 10, 15, 20 yards deep, and you don't have a lot of time to get the ball out. You got to get more plays, that there's option routes, there's crossers, there's dump-offs, and the Patriots didn't do that. And Matt gets sacked over here. Linebacker makes a good play on the ball. The point is, these third down and 4s, a lot of these third down plays, the play call is questionable, the route running is questionable, the decision-making by the quarterback is questionable. But on this play, it was a bad play call, considering it was 3rd and 4. You didn't need to run routes that deep, and also the route running by the 2 tight ends end up being disastrous because Hunter Henry gets hurt, and it's just a comedy of errors right now, Phil.
The spacing seems to have been an issue really all year when it comes to this Patriots passing game. Even if these guys are able to clear each other, Ted, you can essentially, in this moment, cover both with one player
guy.
as Mac Jones is watching down the field things unfold. Spacing was an issue later in the game when Jonnu Smith got hurt. So, as Ted mentioned, the errors are consistent, and they continue into Week 17 here. Okay, you know who was consistently good, at least in the second half? It's Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne out of the witness protection program. How about that? And he has been ID'd. The Bourne identity is presented by your New England Ford dealers and Ford trucks built Ford tough. The past wide receiver had his best game of the season Saturday. Season highs across the board. 6 catches for 100 yards, all in the second half when Mac Jones and company nearly erased that 22-point deficit.
Even in a situation like that, at the end of the game where we're trying to fight back and there's a lot of pressure, he's in there kind of smiling like, let's go do this, So when you see that from a guy and, I'm saying the same stuff in the huddle, I want to look for a guy like that who wants to compete and play with effort.
Just doing my job, being there for my guys. That's all it is. When my name is called, that's all it is. It's not about me, it's about the team. So once I got to go in the game, I need to be ready. That's all it comes down to.
Bill, we saw in the second half the sort of impact that Kendrick Bourne can have when he's made the focal point of the passing game. Why have the opportunities for him to be such a regular target in the offense been so few and far between this year?
No particular reason.
Okay, absent an explanation from the head coach, Ted, I turn to you and I ask, why is Kendrick Bourne not playing more consistently? Because clearly when he gets a consistent opportunity, he's one of their best playmakers.
Yeah, it's frustrating because nobody really knows the answer to that question. I wish I had the answer. I don't know. I mean, it really goes back to maybe things in the offseason. Kendrick Bourne was not happy about maybe the change in the offense, in the system. Maybe he was being kind of phased out. He didn't like that Devontae Parker they brought in. I don't know what it is, but something I think happened behind the scenes where we don't see it on the football field. It's hard for me to believe, Phil, that it's because Kendrick Bourne isn't practicing hard or he's making minimal mistakes in practice. I feel like that would be reported. So I don't think it's a performance thing. I think it's something else that we just don't know exactly what it is.
We got a great character review from the quarterback there at the podium on Saturday night after the game saying that's a guy who's going to give effort. That's a guy that I want to roll with moving forward. We will see if he gets the opportunity to roll. Let's talk a little bit about some of the route running that you saw from Kendrick Bourne in Ted Neek. Ted, leading up to this game, 100 yards in this one, 135 total in his last 9, but he has the ability to run great routes. What did you see from him as far as that goes?
So this is the first third down that the Patriots converted at the very end of the third quarter, right before the fourth quarter. Kendrick Bourne, I love his game. Why isn't he playing? Is the biggest mystery? I don't know, but I'm going to show you a route that he ran on this first third down completion. It was 3rd down and 7, and it was a corner route. So here's the thing. So here's the numbers on the football field. He was lined up outside the numbers and inside the sideline. That's not a lot of space. When you're outside the numbers, the sideline isn't that much further away. And so he's trying to run what you call a corner route, which is 10 yards and then to the corner, to the corner of the end zone. Right? So you don't have a lot of space. So what does he do? He does a really good job. His DB is going to be up and press man, okay? And what he's going to do, he's got to get this guy to kind of sell it and get him to go more inside so that he has space to work with at the end of the route. So at the beginning of the route, boom, Kendrick Bourne takes off and he goes inside hard, and he brings this corner with him. All right, and so this corner is inside hip of him, and what he does at the top of the route, he throttles down, he puts on the brakes, and the DB goes flying right by him, so he's able to go out to the corner, and Mac Jones hits a perfect time pass to him right here, and it was a really nice route run to set up this DB to get his weight going this way and then countering by slowing down and coming back inside. It was a really nice throw, but that's what Kendrick Bourne can do. He can make plays for you, Phil.
He can, and he clearly has good chemistry with Mac Jones. That's a route that requires a little bit of timing for him to be able to drop it to the sideline right as Kendrick Bourne is getting there, and we saw even more really eye-opening connections between those two the rest of that game. Ted Neek, of course, is presented by Shaw's, perfecting the art of fresh. All right, coming up at 6:30, tune in for our Bella Early Edition with Trenny. Tom Giles is in for Trenny Casey today, so he'll be taking a deep dive into the biggest sports stories of the day. I might be there as well. Let's have some fun there. Okay, up next, Marcus Jones quickly becoming the biggest playmaker on the Patriots. We're breaking down the rookie's busy day against the Bengals right after this. Yes, it's time for the report card. My report card is presented by the Massachusetts School of Law. As always, you can read about the reasoning behind these grades on NBCSportsBoston.com. Great website. A Jekyll and Hyde performance results in a wide range of grades from this weekend, handing out a couple of A's to a couple of units on the defensive side, but an F for the kicking game and the running back position. Ted, Rhamondre Stevenson, one of their best players. This has now been an issue each of the last 2 weeks. Bill Belichick today, when asked about that fumble at the end of the game with the Patriots threatening to take the lead late in the fourth quarter, basically said he didn't blame Rhamondre Stevenson for coughing up the football. How do you feel about that play, and how much blame do you put on the young running back?
Yeah, I got to put a ton of it on their young running back. I mean, he's been the best player probably for this offense all season long, and it's a different ecosystem. The Bill Belichick, I know, would not kind of apologize or make excuses or let off the hook, if you will, a player that did what Rhamondre Stevenson did. So it's a little bit surprising to hear that from Bill, but we also know that is one of his absolute favorite players. He has pretty much put the offense on his shoulders, and so he owes a lot to Rhamondre for not making it look worse than it's been all season long.
He said multiple times behind a microphone this year that he loves Rhamondre Stevenson, which is rare. You're playing linebacker in that moment, during that play.
Yes.
Do you feel like forward progress has stopped?
If I'm playing linebacker, I would make a hard argument that it was. I mean, you could really have made the argument that that should have been blown dead, that shouldn't have been a fumble. The explanation they gave that the feet were still churning, I don't know if I buy that, because I've seen them stop a play, even though the running back's legs are still they're moving, even though they're not getting forward progress.
I think they missed that one, although you do still have to hold on to the football just in case the scenario that actually played out on Saturday plays out. Since the bye, here's the complete list of Patriots who scored a touchdown, friends. There are 10 names here, and just one has scored more than once, and it's Marcus Jones, who plays on defense. He's now scored 3 times, 3 different ways. He had a 69-yard interception return for a touchdown Saturday to add to his game-winning punt return against the Jets, and his touchdown against the Bills on the offensive side was a thing of beauty. Jones talked about his most recent house call after Saturday's game.
So we was in a certain coverage and everything, and whenever I seen him throw the ball, I was like, I got to get there first, make sure I get there and catch it. And then after that, I seen our whole defense basically setting up a wall and everything. And I was running and seeing Burrow, the last man, and I was like, let me make sure I don't step out.
Back out here for Board Games, brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning. The name to know when the drains don't flow. Ted, the Patriots don't allow a single point defensively in the second half, and they actually get the first Patriots points on the board with a pick 6 from Marcus Jones. We have to talk about this play. You've got "take the bait" written at the top of the board. Tell us why.
Yeah, you got to give it up. I mean, the Patriots defense couldn't have played worse than they did in the first half, but the second half, different story. And this was a really great play. It's a great call, to be honest with you, in this situation. So the Bengals got to get 11 yards. It's 3rd and 11. The Patriots did their homework. They scouted this guy. They know that Joe Burrow is not very good under pressure. When he gets pressure in his face fast, he'll throw the ball away a lot of times. So the Patriots were anticipating that. So here's what the Bengals do. They come out in 3rd and 11. They go trips left, and they put the sole receiver to the right, Jamar Chase, who's their best wide receiver, okay? And you know what? Who's lined up against him is Marcus Jones. Poor Marcus Jones, who had a great day in a lot of respects and then a bad day in some respects. They were going to pick on Marcus Jones all game long. What did the Patriots do to kind of combat that? They put Marcus Jones really deep on his alignment. But if you'll notice, all these guys are lined up at the same length because they're lined up. They're taught to play at the sticks, 3rd and 11. So get back and then let them kind of run their plays in front and then break down on it. And that's what the Patriots did. So they're all aligned deep because it's 3rd and 11. They're also anticipating the fact if we get a blitz and get pressure to the quarterback's strong side, to his favorite receiver, there's a good chance he might throw you one. And he did, all right? So it was a great play by Marcus Jones. But here's the blitz right here. So you have Jabril Peppers. He comes down here. He sugars down here and hits the blitz at the snap of the ball. We also have Juwan Bentley. Thank you. He's coming down here. You have Christian Barmore, who does a great job to engage the center. Old Teddy Karras, the center, engage him for a split second like he's going to come. And then he backs out at the last second. Well, by doing that, it gets the attention of the center long enough. Teddy Karras, by Barmore doing that, Kyle Duggar times it up perfectly, and he comes right through that A gap and hits Joe Burrow so fast that he decides he's going to throw the ball out here to throw it away. But here's the thing, Marcus Jones, you will see it, Marcus Jones' eyes never come off the quarterback. They're not even looking at Jamar Chase, who's running a 9 route, not even looking, because he is taught, hey, we're gonna blitz the strong side right here. The ball's gonna come out fast, so be looking for the ball to come out fast, and it did. Joe Burrow throws it over here. Marcus Jones takes it to the house, hits his head on the goalpost. The Patriots did a good job anticipating this play, and then calling the right call for this situation. They executed perfect. The DBs know to line up at depth, Anticipate the ball coming out fast. Good job of executing the blitz right here by Barmore to get Kyle Duggar free to the quarterback. And they put pressure on Burrow, and he does exactly what they thought he would do in that situation, and they forget their first touchdown of the game. As we all know, a little too late.
Understanding the situation, understanding the timing of the play and what the play should be. And then a guy who's become one of your best playmakers over the course of the last 3 weeks ends up getting some points on the board for you. The Patriots have now scored 3 times defensively in the last 3 weeks. You heard Ted mention it. It was not all good for Marcus Jones on Saturday. He and the rest of the Patriots' undersized defensive backs had their hands full with the Bengals' dynamic duo, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Joe Burrow targeted them a total of 20 times, each hauled in 8 passes. And Burrow on the day, a career-high 40 completions, including a whopping 28 in the first half. That brings us to Ted Meek, which is presented by Shaw's Perfecting the Art of Fresh. Ted, what'd you think of the defensive backfield and the game plan the Patriots had for these not only dynamic but big, tough-to-tackle receivers from Cincinnati?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it that much, Phil, because they played a lot of soft coverage. They were really far back, and so they would say, hey, we're not going to let you get behind us. We're going to make you throw the ball in front of you. Well, these guys are big, strong guys, and so once they catch that ball and they're going forward, they're very difficult to tackle. A quarterback, Marcus Jones, led the team in tackles with 14. What they want to do is put a lot of guys in the flat in front of him, throw the ball out quick, and then force him to come up and make tackles. And he made a ton of really good ones. He was a little bit, I think, suspect in his coverage, and I'm about to tell you why. It's almost not his fault. He's really doing the best with what God gave him. So
I'll be Marcus Jones here, and you'll be T. Higgins, who had a phenomenal game, 128 yards receiving, a bunch of those on throws deep down the field with Marcus Jones in coverage.
And so this is a tough thing. So T. Higgins, a much, much bigger guy. This was the second play of the game. This was a long completed pass down the sideline. Marcus Jones, who's going to play softer coverage, all right, because they don't want him, for whatever reason, to get up here and jam because they think maybe his size. And so this is the second play of the game. And it's this simple. This is what did Marcus Jones in. So T. Higgins, all he does at the snap of the ball, he gets the free release to go down. He runs a 9-route. Marcus Jones does a great job of positioning, getting right inside his hip, and the ball's coming, and he looks back and yeah, there's a height difference. That's the only problem. T. Higgins is just so much taller, Phil, that it's difficult for Marcus Jones, even though he's got perfect alignment to make that play. So here's what you could maybe do differently. If you have a Marcus Jones going against these big wide receivers, we don't know, how long Jalen Mills is going to be out. But here's the thing. If you're going to count on Marcus Jones, I think it might be better. Get up there and challenge them physically. Don't let these big wide receivers to get free releases like you've been giving them, and then try and cover them downfield. Because I think at the top of the pass is very hard to defend for a shorter guy. So get up there at the snap of the ball, and get your hands on them and jam them. Just disrupt their timing, throw them off, and that helps your pass rush get there. And I think it's going to help these shorter, smaller DBs out a lot more if you get up there and play physical with them as opposed to playing them softer in softer coverage.
I feel like we should do this every week because I feel like that was the best shot I've ever given in years of doing this show with you. I might have injured my wrist, but it did feel good in the moment. Not so good for the Patriots secondary on those deep balls down the field. Great job, Ted. Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Catch another edition of Quick Slants. Tommy Kern will be joined by the great Kay Adams. It's presented, as always, by your local New England Honda dealers. Still to come, Patriots arriving late to the party, and it could very well keep them from getting the invite to the postseason. We'll try to sort it all out when the breakdown returns. You've heard of a December to remember, haven't you? This has been the month to forget for the Patriots, in the first half at least. We talked about this all throughout the show. It was a tale of two halves, 22-0 at the half before outscoring the Bengals 18-0 in the final 30 minutes. For the month, the Patriots are plus 39 after halftime, but they've been unable to overcome double-digit deficits against the Bills, Raiders, and Bengals. This brings us to our Monday Night Spotlight, which is presented by the Oakers Company, proud sponsor of the New England Patriots. Ted, why are they slow? Why are they so slow, Easy for me to say, out of the gates.
Yeah, the one explanation might be that they're not mentally ready to go. They're just not. They're not invested. They just don't have a purpose. Early in the games, and so the all collective attitude is one of just caution. And I think maybe the play calling on offense and the defense, it's more of a cautionary kind of way of calling plays. And I think I just think they're not as aggressive as they need to be in their play calling on offense and defense. And so it kind of lends itself to this slow kind of, easing into these football games in which you can tell the offense isn't good enough to overcome the deficits they have at halftime.
Yeah, there's just a malaise there, or there was at least on Saturday, right? You look at the drop from Tyquan Thornton deep down the field. You look at the timeout that they needed to call early in that game on the defensive side, 3 plays in. We already talked about their issues on third down. Ted, those are the plays you should be repping and be most comfortable and most confident in. And those are the spots where it looks like they are most disorganized.
It's troubling. I mean, it is amazing. They come out, they make adjustments maybe at halftime, and so they get a little bit refocused. But to come out like they have been coming out in recent weeks to start the game, it just shows me, Phil, I'm not sure everybody is buying in and 100% pulling in the same direction because of these slow starts. That's an indicator to me.
Okay, all that said, they do control their own destiny. Now, they haven't been playing well enough for us to talk about them like a potential playoff team. But if they're able to beat the Dolphins and beat the Bills 2 weeks from now, they're in. What do you think about this Miami game? We just got news earlier today that Tua Tagovailoa is actually back in concussion protocol. He obviously had the bad episode early in the season where it looked like he suffered 2 concussions in the same game. Very scary moment, but hit his head again against the Packers this weekend. Do the Patriots have a chance if Teddy Bridgewater's behind center for Miami?
They got a very good chance. Absolutely have a good chance. When Teddy was in there this year, I don't think they fared so well. Coming up here, it's cold, and they have lost 4 in a row. They might be down. The Patriots could win this game, and then who knows? You get Buffalo in the last week of the season. It's up for grabs.
Maybe you need a wind game. You get some kind of weather out there in Orchard Park, and that changes things.
I will say this, though. The Miami Dolphins played the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo a couple weeks ago and performed pretty well. But that was with Tua as the quarterback, so we'll see.
We'll be right back here next Monday talking about Patriots Dolphins. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy your holiday, everyone. Thanks for watching.